Hello everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is my scrap busting day. As you can see, I am out of control. I have scraps everywhere from projects that I have started and some have finished, but the scraps are dragging me down, and honestly they are overwhelming. So I'm going to sit down and tackle these. So I'll turn the camera on and hopefully you can join me. Grab your glue sticks and a couple of little bits and bobs and let's get started. Okay, so here we go. I have the basics for me anyways, which is my glues, my heavier duty glue and my glue stick, some ink, which is vintage photo, micron pen, which I like to doodle with, and a pair of scissors. I'm trying to keep out just the bare essentials to do some scrap busting. I also have one stencil. I picked one. My little bucket of random stamps, which I will probably just grab one and go. And this new stamp that I got just from the thrift shop for $1, and it's a cute little stamp, so I'll pull that out. And then I also have my print off for some of my words that I like to use. This you'll find over on Patreon. My Patreon page, and it's just a freebie. It's just words that came to mind in different fonts, and then I just kind of chop them like this and then chop them off when I'm ready to go. So if you want to print this, just head over to the Patreon page, my Patreon page, and you can download it. All right, let's get started. So I just grabbed a handful of scraps. There's some ink. Just to kind of get the juices flowing here. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with any of these just yet. I'm going to make some room on my desk. It's probably a good idea. I don't know what I'm going to make with any of this stuff. I found a pair of glasses. I'm forever looking for glasses. I just want to try and get some of this under control. There's tape on my desk, which I will keep out. It's just ridiculous. I turned around and I thought I have to show you guys what it's really like behind the camera here at the Creative Cove. It's insane. That is what it is. So I think I'll just start with some master boards, some basic stuff, and I'm just gonna do it in scraps here and just rip up bits and pieces, work with some of these smaller pieces that get caught under the bigger pieces. I think that's one of the things that drive me nuts about scraps, is how they are all kind of trapped underneath each other. And I just want to get a little bit more control again. So I'm just going to, I kind of like this though, so I don't want to glue on that. I try to find like big pieces, big scraps like this, which are usually watercolor. So here's like a watercolor sample that I started and discarded. I could probably doodle on that actually, but right now I'm just going to use a heavier piece of paper. These are labels. They don't belong in there. So we'll put those away. So this scrap busting thing is a great way to sort through all your goodies that kind of get lost in the shuffle. At least at my house they do. And just kind of get control back. It's been extremely busy here. I've had a lot on my plate, and I was completing those blue journals that I recently just did a flip through on this channel, and they kind of took over my life for a while. And don't get me wrong, it was very enjoyable, but it's time to start getting a little bit more organized. The season's changing, fall is coming, and I get overwhelmed with the season change because I just feel like I have so much to do, and it makes me nervous how much I have to do. So it overwhelms me is what I'm trying to say. And I just kind of have to just do it, like just get on it, you know? Stop procrastinating, stop overthinking, and just get her done. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to try and tackle as many scraps, that's a fun piece, as many scraps in as many ways as I can think of as I'm filming. and we'll see where it takes us. And, you know, sometimes I do these scrap busting videos, and then I look back and I think, at my studio after I filmed, and think, oh, geez, I've barely scratched the surface of the amount of scraps I have. So my scraps get carried away. And I'm not an organized person in the sense that I don't, you know, stash them organized and, you know, by size. I maybe do it by color, which is relatively easy for me simply because I don't use a lot of colored papers. So everything ends up either neutral or texture neutral. So those are the two categories they're usually sorted in. But right now, it's just one massive random piles. And I need to get a grip. I need to get things under control. So these pieces, I'm like these little bits, they're just going on the floor. And then I'll sweep that up after, because I'm not keeping those. That's just too much. If I was organized, maybe I would turn them into different papers or something, but let's just face the facts. I'm a disaster. Okay. So a lot of the things too I find with my scraps is they're all neutral planes. So they don't make for very exciting masterboards a lot of the time. I'm gonna have to dig through and find something interesting here. So again, just a scrap, not sure what this is, some sort of poster board, but they're perfect for masterboards, these bigger pieces. And I am not doing anything new and exciting here for most of you. I'm sure you've seen all this before with all kinds of different YouTubers. So this must have been a page that I was trying an experiment on and didn't work. So now she's just getting glued in. And I'll probably run the sewing machine over these because I'm an impatient gluer. So I know that I'm going to miss a lot of spots with glue, and I don't want these peeling up or falling apart later. Some of these will end up in other projects right away, and others might end up in what am I trying to say? My little storage spot there, my mass makes section. So I keep mass makes because that's the kind of person I am. I like to make a bunch of one thing. One, because it helps me remember how to make something or to make it. Because a lot of times I will get, you know, lost in the shuffle and I'll forget, oh, I really liked making those kind of tags. So I have to make them several times in order to remember making them. Does that make sense? Or am I rambling? I do tend to ramble. All right. I wanted to thank people as well for supporting my Patreon page. It's a new adventure for me, and I am learning as I go. So it's been a challenge so far simply because of the kind of videos that I can upload. It doesn't seem to want to let me upload very long videos at this point until I figure out how to format them. So there's quite a few shorter videos there, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank people for supporting me in that arena, as well as here on YouTube, for watching and sharing my videos. It is really appreciated. I don't always respond to comments, and I do apologize for that. It's just a question of timing. This, like I said, with the season change, it's been extremely busy, and I'm sure you're all familiar with how things can get really busy and get away from you. I've been busy with work as well, my other, like my full-time job, and it's just been hectic. But I want to do a video soon on how where I've been and what I've been doing, because I have been doing a lot of projects, and I want to share those with you. So that will be coming soon, I hope, if I get my act together. Okay, so another master board. Okay, so master board, keep going. So maybe I'll get to the point here where I'll have these kind of similar scrap pieces, and I might just kind of like the papers and add them to each other. just kind of make these little ready-to-use clusters with torn edges. And put these torn pieces over here. And maybe something like this on this one. What else we got? Okay, that's something that shouldn't be in there, so I'll add that to my already done pile. Here's one of my digital tags. Let's see what else we got. Oh, here's some images from my digitals, so we can throw those on there. Birdies. So I can either like glue these together already in a cluster, or I can just staple these and have them ready to tuck into a journal or throw into a book after. But at least they're a bunch of scraps that kind of go together and they're ready to use throughout journals. So if you were selling your journals, for example, some of these are really nice to add because then whoever's purchasing your journal can take them apart and decorate it with it. So some of these are nice to have, especially when you come across these clusters of papers that are similar. So I'll go through a couple more scraps here. So something like this, you know, you can add, I would probably tear this in half and do a couple of these. And then maybe, yeah, digital pictures all mixed up in here. No surprise for me. What else do I have in here? Just so much stuff. Here's a piece of paper that I was designing for digitals that I didn't end up liking, so I printed one, and now I will tear it up into pieces. Okay, so I'm going to stir this pile a little more, see what comes up. Because like I said, there's a lot of papers that get caught because my scraps are out of control. It's cute. Okay, so a couple more here. I'll move that out of the way, and then I'll just layer some papers. Kind of in a similar order. And again, just staple them together. Nothing too fancy, but nice and quick. So these are nice to add because they've got that natural patina and you can sketch on there. And then we'll add a little something something. And then I'll just staple them. Okay. Or safety pin. Not safety pin, paper clip. Whatever works. But this is a quick way to clean up your scraps, and in a semi-functional way, because you still have to do something with these after, but at least they're kind of piled together that you can make something quick and nice with, a nice quick cluster, you know. Okay, so I'll do some of those, and then I'll come across things like this piece, which I would probably make a masterboard on that, but maybe these smaller pieces that look like nameplates or something, I would maybe turn into quick focal points. So maybe something like with this guy here. So I don't want to spend hours making clusters right now. Right now I just want to blow through some of these scraps. Maybe kind of pre-cluster things, have things ready to build on. And if you're organized, you can group these into things like, so finished clusters, things that you use in clusters like decorative papers or focal points, things like that. So those are the kind of things that are really fun to elaborate on with your scraps. And then they move out of the scrap pile and into a separate pile. Now, my problem is I'm not organized. I'll start this procedure and then I end up, as you see, with a collection of everything all jammed into one because I don't take the time to organize. I was in a place at the beginning of the year where when I finished work on my desk for the day, I would promise myself to put everything away. And it worked for me. It was great. But then life just gets busy, you know, summertime and now fall change, and I've kind of fallen out of the routine again, which is unfortunate. But it's not fixable. You know what I mean? Like we can get back to that place, and I just have to do it. So I'm doing it today. So I'm just going to take a stamp. So you can sketch. We'll probably get to that at some point, but right now I'm just going to make it simple. I'm going to make a few focal points out of these pieces that I found. I don't know where this stamp is from. I apologize. I don't keep my stamps stored. You saw my little bucket at the beginning. That's what I tend to use. So I just throw everything in a bucket, and that works for me. It might drive some of you crazy because you're trying to find a specific stamp, but I'm more of a kind of fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. All right, so I might just cut a few of these off. So this is what I like to do with my digital words, is I'll slice them like this, and then I will have them ready to go, and I can just chop them the size I want, border them, whatever, and then I will ink them. So on a day where I'm not in the mood to do anything too specific, I will probably cut all these up and ink them and have them ready to go. So I'm not spending, again, too much time. I want to just quickly use up these scraps, but these are nice little focal points that you can store and use later for anything you're working on. They can be little tucks. You can add little handles to them, little ribbons to them, but primarily the work is done. And it's just nice to get those scraps out of the bin, which is my goal. Just chopping these down a little. So usually when I make scrap busting, I just create more scraps. You know, you think, oh, okay, I'm going to use up these scraps. And then the next thing you know, you look on your desk and you still have a million scraps. It's ridiculous. So there comes a point where I will be, okay, I'm going to use up as much, like the next 2 days, I'm going to be jamming on these scraps big time because I want to get rid of them. I want to use them up, not get rid of them, but use them up. And then I will go through my scraps after I've made a solid effort to use up as many as I can. And then I will dispose of scraps after that, like real small ones or uninteresting ones. And so now I have 4 little focal points. Uninteresting ones, anything where I can just downsize my scraps. Like this is a huge piece. You wouldn't think this is a scrap, but I went to print a workshop on it, and for some reason my printer was blown up. This I will save for a master board. What else have I got? A couple of these I will save for master boards because they're nice and big. So let's maybe make relatively quick clusters, you know, semi-finished. Semi-finished clusters. So all I do here is I could use the sewing machine, and I probably will on some of these. So instead of gluing them right now, you just run a stitch right through the middle to hold those 3 pieces together. And then you have like a background cluster piece. So you've got the makings of the cluster. Okay, got those. Move those aside, we'll keep going. Oh, look at the little fishies. That's cute. I love fish. Fish make me happy. Okay. All these little bits and pieces. And what else have we got here? Some fun textured paper. Okay, let's glue some of this down. Just kind of wing it, you know? What's nice about winging it is you don't know where it's going to take you, and you can discover something new and exciting that you like, that you hadn't thought of before, maybe. Just running some. Okay, that one. Move that one over. So pretty. Don't lose those. Do this. Piece I ripped off before. One piece. So I kind of basically go bigger to smaller. Piece with a fun edge. Oop. So biggest piece, run some glue up, stick the next piece down, run some glue up, stick the next piece down. Just that quick, right? I'll do a few more of these since they're using up some nice, decent sized scraps here. But I'm going to move out the way because it's got color on it. I'm going to stick just to neutrals. All these little pieces over here are getting caught up. So that's a piece of kind of junk that I will use as a masterboard. These are thicker pieces. So these I will put aside for now because these I can turn into pockets and kind of reinforcements. So it looks like I started like file folders and then decided I didn't want to finish them, I guess, which happens a lot for me. And they end up in the pile, and they're big and bulky, so they take up quite a bit of room. So maybe we'll go, just gonna make a few more of those kind of unfinished clusters. So much stuff in the way. There we go. I have a very, very small workspace. I don't like a huge, well, I do love a huge table, I'm not gonna lie. I love big tables, but my craft space won't accommodate a big one. And so I have to work with a small desk, which is fine. But if you're disorganized like me, it gets overcrowded very quickly and becomes a nuisance. So that's a tag. You can just leave that, but I'm going to use it up because it's must be in my scrap pile for a reason. That's off one of my digitals actually. So don't feel bad doing that because it's mine, so I can just print them off. I didn't pay for them, of course. So I just could do this all day and burn up as many of these as I possibly can. Use them up. And I've gotten through that little pile that was, well, that relatively big pile that was on my desk, so that's good. Are they, you know, they're not finished, obviously, these scraps, but I've got something, a base for something. So when I'm in the mood to do the next step, which will be, you know, decorating these based on maybe a journal that I'm working on, a theme, then I can just pull these out. So again, getting organized, trying to sort my life out. So another thing you can do is kind of do maybe some focal prep work. So every now and then, I haven't done this for a long time actually. Where'd my pen go? I'm trying to put things away. My glue, my pen's around here somewhere, or did it roll off? Probably rolled off the desk. Let's just grab a pen. So sometimes I like to kind of make things ready for other projects as well. So for example, I got this scrap. I might make some butterfly wings to use in another project. And then I have some wings ready to go. And then this, I would probably just, if you're short on scraps, you can clean this up, throw this, I discard that. And then you still have these little bits. But you can cut a bunch of these out of your scrap papers. So I think what I'm going to do is give this one more shuffle here. So anything like decent size. Pattern paper here. So for wings, butterfly wings, they always start in one section like this. They go up, back, round, and then the back, depending what kind of butterfly it is, you can decorate it. Goes, but all the wings start from one section. That's important. Otherwise, it won't feel like a butterfly. And then I just chop it. So the pen side will go down in the decoration so you don't see the drawing. Flip it the other way around. So draw on the side you don't want to use. All right, so then I will end up using this side. So you can cut a bunch of things like that, you know, seasonal stuff. Maybe you want to do kind of like a really small one. You can Google search different butterflies and different butterfly wing shapes. Ooh, he's barking. She barking. So another nice way to use up your scraps and have things ready. Oh, that's an envelope, so I'm going to put that with my envelopes. What else have I got here? Nice brown piece. So this side I would draw on this one. And maybe we'll do some, a little bit thinner. Maybe we'll do some fairy wings. So something where it's just drooping down like this. Try it, see what it looks like. Might work, might not. Just gonna chop this. Clean up that bit. So maybe you have like those little paper dolls or whatever they're called, and you want to turn them into fairies. You have like little wings ready to go. Kind of fun. Do this side. Do another butterfly. So as long as you come back to the center, it doesn't really matter what shape you do the wings. They'll look like butterfly wings. That's the secret to drawing butterflies. Brown wings. Okay, so you can use up your scraps that way. Love these. Love this paper. Excuse me. Let's do something. maybe the back one's a little bit more separated. So it's a nice rainy day here in Ontario. It's still 20 degrees, which is lovely. I love this time of year. It's a stressful time of year for me, but I love the weather. I just love the cool nights, the warmish days, the color changes. So that'd be really cute, little fairy wings. I love that stuff. I really do. You can even use the negative space in these for something. That could be kind of fun. Let's try it. I might have to stop the video if she doesn't stop barking. Sometimes she just gets on a roll and won't stop. I don't even know what kind of bark that is. She's such a goofy dog. I don't know what she's barking at. Nobody's around right now. I'm just going to try and grab the edge. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we'll try it. Just using up more scraps. So I have the door closed, so she might be trying to get in here. Mildred, I'm talking about, by the way, my dog. She might be telling me, hey, let me in, lady. I think we need something with a little bit more contrast. Something like that. People in it? Why not? Why not? So for this, I'm not going to worry about getting glue where it's not supposed to be. I will just let it glue dry separately, so it doesn't stick to anything, and then I will just leave it be for a minute. I'll pull these pieces up, which clearly don't have glue. There we go. It's kind of fun. See what I mean? You don't know what you're going to bump into when you're playing with your scraps. So that could be a nice little focal point for something. So we'll let that dry over there because it's pretty wet with glue. Okay, what else do we want to do? So I've got this plain piece. So maybe we'll do some doodling. Let's see if I can find my pen. Let's just see if I can find my pen. Where did I put it? Can you guys see it? You can probably tell me where it is. I don't want to use blue. I like my black. Oh, there it is. Way over here. So, what have we got kicking around that we could sketch? Some sort of visual. You know, something to help us get... There's some butterflies. So we'll just do a little quickie sketch here. And then we'll build up some focal points. So the trickiest part about butterflies is making them symmetrical. At least I find it is. And again, you're not worrying about making it perfect. You're just doodling here. So they might end up being ripped up into more sketches, or they might be a masterpiece. And you photocopy them and turn them into your own very own digital kits. But the point is you're having fun and you're doodling and you're not worrying about anything. You're just enjoying your time in your room or in your space and using up your scraps. And if you're like me, you're getting rid of a little bit of scrap cluster anxiety. Where you just got to get rid of some of this stuff. So just something that simple, and then you can just embellish it with your stamps. All right, a little bit of ink. Should maybe ink the butterflies a bit. And the edge. And maybe use a word. Just going to trim off some of this. We'll use another little piece of scrap. fit on there? Yep. Okay, so we'll just ink this edge too. Make it all cohesive. I'll throw that on there. I don't even care if the writing's upside down, but for those of you that drives crazy, go ahead and pay attention to that part. So there, super quick, nice little piece to add to anything you like. All right, let's do some more. So what else do we want to draw? Do we want to draw more butterflies? Maybe we'll do one where the wings are not quite fully open. So we have the body dragging here a little bit. So the wing goes back and then down, back to the center, and then back out, up to the center. Of course, you can decorate it however you like. Legs, head, antenna are there. So I'm using up these little scrap bits for fun. Maybe we'll put it on a flower. Fill up this negative space down here. So I didn't fast forward this. This is just loose, very loose sketching. Trying to use up my scraps in different ways. This is just from Amazon. I bought it a long time ago, so I don't often link any stamps or anything because I don't know where I get half of them. A lot of them are from charity shops, but that has always been my go-to stamp. I absolutely love that stamp. So there we go. Something like that. And again, you can add words to it. That one I'm going to leave plain. All right. Oops. Throwing everything around here. Okay. So I got these pieces now. These could be fun. I have this little, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. I have little pieces of tape off the edge of my desk here, and that measures my 8-inch length of the standard journals I like to work with. So these are 8-inch strips. So maybe we could do something fun with these. Find some more strips. We could do some sort of fun border that you could glue on the edge of a journal page. I don't know what I'm doing, just having fun here. Is it going to work out or not? If not, I'll edit it out. So I will just maybe decorate this piece underneath. This one too while I have it. Okay, and ink this edge. Okay. Something like this. And then a focal point down the middle. So that could be a piece of lace, or let's see, what else have I got? Got more scraps. Do I have anything here? No. Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit heavier duty glue. Oops, that one's old. Heavier duty glue here. This. Maybe pull it out a little more. There we go. I want it to glue to this though, so I put glue in the wrong spot. I'll just let that dry for a minute. Oops. And then we could use this maybe. Okay, let's use one of our, let's glue cluster in here. I'm gonna move this out of the way so it dries. Focus on this little card right now. It's too small. I'm looking for something I can turn into, oh, here's something like this. Yeah, that will work. My scraps look the same. I'm gonna tear this off. Something small in that top corner. There we go. And I will make a focal point on here, so that I can sketch something on there later. Use maybe a glue, because this is a thick cardstock paper. I actually think it might be cheap watercolor paper. And then we'll put that on this, which can then be glued to the edge of a page. Like that. I think we need something on here. Let's see, stamp-wise, what have I got? Something floral. Don't like that one. We'll go back to this guy. I've already used it. Let's use it again. Want it in the black though. Okay, that works. Anything that isn't glued down, I could just pull away. Okay, and then we will glue that right there. So that this will go around the page. So this is a journal page here, and then this can get glued on the edge. Something different. Done. Done. Scrap busting. I'm gonna move these because they've got color in them, and I don't want any color right now. Okay, what else can we do? Keep banging along if you're still with me. I need some more scraps. I have used up that pile. Grab the next pile. Woohoo! So here are tons of little watercolor pieces from chopping off the size that I needed for a workshop. So I have all these little watercolor pieces left. So So what we'll do with these maybe is make some bookmarks or something. Too thick. Okay, so we will, ooh, there's a lot. I'm going to chop the corners off some of these. We could make all these, and then when you're ready and in the mood to watercolor, you can decorate them with some watercolor doodles, some pen, sketches, but so much nicer to get these out of here. And these are really nice scraps. I mean, they're plain, obviously, but watercolor paper is always fun to use. And if you're using inks that, like the archival ink, you can pre-decorate it and not worry about the watercolor and the water actually distorting the ink, which is nice. Okay, we'll finish this one. All right. So now what I would do is maybe find a nice big sheet of paper that I can decorate the background with. What are these ones? A bit too skinny. What else have we got? Let's have a look. So like I said, most of my scraps are plain. Here's a piece of scrapbook papers. These will work. Yes, they will. So let's put the lid on the marker, my pen. And let's get ink in these pieces. Woo! Almost dropped them all. Ink in these pieces here. So this ink, obviously, is the Vintage Photo. Is it ink? It's Distressed Oxide. So this will definitely bleed when you go to put water on them if you do decide to watercolor. But it also has some really cool effects, so it's not the end of the world if it bleeds a little bit, depending how crisp a look you want. Some of these I might just dirty right up. Maybe we'll use this guy too, just for fun. Just for a little interest. I like to make messy stuff, and you're gonna find YouTubers are kind of their own creatures. They're gonna have the super organized crafter tutorial person who really breaks it down nice and slow for you. And then there's me, where I just go for it. So you're either going to love that or hate that about me. Or you're like, ooh, girl, slow down. But I this is how I work. So with the camera off, I work this fast. I just like to keep moving. I don't like my brain to stop and think about things too much. Otherwise, I start second guessing myself, or I might, have a hard time making a decision then, and I don't want that. I want to get her done. So I tend to move quickly and messily, which is why I showed you the beginning of the video how horribly messy my studio is on a normal basis. I mean, that's pretty standard. Pretty standard. All right, let's cut some of these out. I'm just decorating the edge here. I mean, you can be as elaborate as you want. I just, again, the idea is to bust through these scraps quickly and efficiently. And not doing the same thing over and over again, because one, that would drive me insane because it'd be a bit boring. but also experimenting. You know, just kind of go with your vibe of what you're feeling that day. You feel like sketching, you feel like painting, you feel like stamping, then do it. Use your scraps and go for it. Feel like we're actually using up scraps on this one though, which is nice. Because like I said, the last time I did this, I looked back and I thought, I didn't even make a dent in my scraps. I still have so many scraps. So when I clear this stuff out, it helps clear my brain out. I get overwhelmed when I see too much. The same way my brain, it works quickly. You know, I get overwhelmed and then I get overstimulated and then nothing works after that. And then I procrastinate. I don't know. It's a vicious pattern. Okay. So yeah, I tend to work this fast unless I'm really doing a sketch, like a careful sketch kind of thing. I craft this fast. And I do a lot of different things, which I'd like to show you in a video where I, like a what I've been up to kind of video. So I'll get rid of these little tiny pieces. So drive me nuts. Okay, and I'm going to ink the other edge. And then I'll just leave these. So I'll leave these blank to elaborate later, to decide, are they going to be belly bands? Are they going to be, you know, like, what are they called? Tabs. Not tabs, but you pull them out like bookmarks with some lace at the top. So just kind of preliminary stuff. But there's some. So it's basically making your scraps nicer scraps. That's kind of a sad way of looking at it, but there. So I just got a few of those made. And then these ones I can turn into maybe a tall cluster with some stitches. Let's put, I really like that stamp on there. So let's add that. So this video can keep going and going and going. But I think you get the idea, right? Like, just have fun with your scraps. Just sit down and hit them hard, which is what I plan on doing for at least another hour while I wait for my husband to come home, because I have to build some wood frames for a painting workshop that I'm doing. I have 11 huge frames to build, and he has all the tools in his trailer. So I need him to come home so I can get crack-a-lacking on that, because I am due for Thursday. Tomorrow I will be busy. It's my birthday tomorrow, though this video will probably be released after my birthday. So I'll be busy doing something. I hope I'll be busy doing something for my birthday. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, so something like that. That can go in the pile. You don't even have to ink that, you know. It doesn't need to be inked. What else? So some things you could turn into... Oh, that looks like a little booklet. So I'm going to leave that intact. This has a little thing in it. So those I would put in a different... Those shouldn't be in my scrap piles. Those are not really scraps. Those are things I can use. So I'll move those out of there. This is your Creative Studio paper, which is so pretty. So this sort of thing you can kind of scrunch up and run through the sewing machine. Get rid of those and just continue to feed it through. That's fun. Here's a little scrap of paper. So you could draw something on this. Which I also, when I'm scrap busting, I will just doodle. Where did my pen go? I have a few go-to things that I do like to draw. So, for example, I love to draw my echinacea point. Are they called echinacea? I always forget what they're called. But they're the simplest flower to draw. And I just love drawing them because I love the overall form of this flower. It's elegant, dainty, but you can really have fun drawing different stages of the flower, from just opening up to full bloom to kind of drying up and wrinkled little leaves, petals. So you can see how easy it is to draw these with a little practice. If you're not into drawing, you might have to practice a little, and that's okay. I've been practicing a lot my whole life, but I had to start somewhere, and I just happen to love drawing, so it worked for me. So every couple of petals, I'll put in some contrast, a little darker. Hopefully you can see. Hopefully my fingers aren't in the way. Just to add a little interest in here. A little wrinkle at the bottom, and then a stem. Maybe make the head a little bigger. Just doodle. Again, this is not fast forward. This is just sketching away nice and quick. Super quick. Not overthinking it. And then just, you can leave it like that. Maybe since we have this paper right here, I will glue it down. I'm not going to bother inking. I'm not going to bother, oh, I'm almost out of glue, adding any kind of stamping or words at this point. I'm just, there's 2 pieces of paper busted. Right? Bam. So there's another one here. Need another glue stick. Toss that out. Okay, let's see. What's on this? Little teapot. Little fern. We do a little fern here. Something like that. So just grabbing inspiration wherever you might see it. And then just slowly building up the fern shape. Well, not slowly, because I don't want to spend hours on a sketch. I just want to, capture that form and use up my scraps. So my quickie sketches that I've been teaching for years on this YouTube channel, this is where they come in real handy. So you're just nice and loose. I'm just looking at the form of the flower and how the leaves might curve. I'm not drawing this exact thing, but I can see how the leaves curve from here. And I'm just quickly capturing that as best I can. Like I said, hopefully you're still with me, doodling away or scrap busting your way. Share how you guys use up your scraps, or your storage solutions, or how you sort them, or do you sort them? Because there's a lot of people who are maybe reading the comments that might take your advice or your suggestions. Just filling this out. Doodle, doodle, doodle. Scribble, scribble, scribble. So not tons of detail, but there's some interesting textures here that make it fun. Nice texture to add to a focal point. Find a piece of paper to stick this to. A little too much, a little too much. Here's a plain piece. And you've got yourself another focal point ready to use out of your scraps. And then of course you can sort these into envelopes, you know, focal points, or this is just ready to use. You're just going to tuck this right into your journal. You know, maybe you like it just simply plain like that. I think I might do a little something around the edge here, like a stitch, a faux stitch. Or maybe you're going to add it to a sew pile. Sometimes I do that too, because the mood for sewing has to hit me, and then I'll get all my sewing done, and I'll just have a little pile of stuff I need to sew together and just get it all done at once. Just like that. Okay, so I think that gave you some ideas of how I scrap bust, things I might use, prepare, different ways of using up scraps without going too elaborate, and then having things ready to use in future projects. So masterboards, right? Just using up those big scraps is one of the best ways to get rid of scraps. Or I shouldn't say get rid of them, but use them up quickly. And then these can be turned into so many different things. So there's masterboards, which we've all seen before. Semi-clusters, where we've just glued scraps together. They're not quite ready for anything just yet. They can be cut down or glue more together as you're focusing on what project you want to use this for. Some quick stamps with little words ready to use. Little clusters you can tuck in a journal or glue together later, but at least they're kind of ready to go. So and these are super quick, and look at the amount of scraps we used up for that. So that's nice, and that can go in a little envelope. That's something we didn't do together, but the same thing, just using up a piece of scrap and gluing down a focal point. And now I've got a little kind of tuck card. Cutting out shapes, so whatever shapes you might be into. These are some butterfly and fairy wings, so a great way to use up scraps as well. Focal points with sketches, which I'm always encouraging here on the Creative Cove. Again, if you don't love sketching, you can use stamps. So some more sketches, quickie sketches. That's a masterboard. And then using the negatives of anything you might cut out, so you can embellish that and, you know, embellish it further. Use it on a belly band, anything you want. These are some potential page edgers and wraparounds. So bigger, these are great for long pieces. So something like that. And of course your little bits and bobs, little cards, little tags, whatever you want to turn them into, but just using up your scraps. So, I mean, we got rid of quite a bit. I still have a couple hours to go before I've used up a significant amount, but I feel like I'm on the right road. And I hope it gave you some ideas, some inspiration, kind of like an insight to how I bust my scraps when they get out of hand. And don't feel bad if you're overwhelmed by your scraps. You're not alone. You're definitely not alone. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.